Hey lovely people, welcome back once again to another episode of Stitches with Collection. I'm Miss Stitches. Today I'm going to share with you how to make this nice and easy handmade beaded bag. Before we start, please make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button. Let's get started. Materials needed. So you cut your fish line. We are using 0.35. We are using 0.35. So please make sure your fish line is long enough. Then you make sure you have equal part or the ends. Then you pick 4 beads, 4 of the big beads of the pearl beads, then 4 of the small pearl beads. So 4 of the big beads, 4 of the small beads. Then you fix 1 small bead. Then you fix 1 big bead, fix 1 small bead again, fix 1 big bead again. So you are going to fix 1 big bead, 1 small bead until you are done fixing the 8 beads on the fish line. So after the last bead, this is what you should get. And then you pick the other side of the fish line, then you go through the big beads. Please make sure you go through the big bead. Then you pull it out. Then you get your first ring. So this is our first ring. Then going on, you pick 3 big beads, 2 small beads. Then you fix 1 big bead on each side of the fish line, as you can see. Then you fix the small beads on each line of the fish line. You fix 1 on each line of the fish line as well. Then you cross with the last big bead. Then you pull both sides of the fish line out, so you get your second ring. So this is what you should get after you are done with the second one. And then you go on and fix 1 big bead on each fish line, fix 1 small bead on each fish line. Then you cross with the third big bead. Then you get your third ring. So you go on with the same method, fix 1 big bead on each fish line, fix 1 small bead on each fish line again. Then you cross with 1 big bead. Then we get our 4th ring. So this is what you should get if you're on the right track. So you're going to continue weaving until you get 8 rings. So you weave till you get 8 rings. So there we go. But with the 8th one, you fix 3 big beads and 2 small beads on the left fish line, as you can see. Then with the right fish line, you tie both sides, as I'm doing. So you tie it very well, about 2 or 3 times, or even 4 times. So we are tying it because we want it to be firm, okay, because the fish line we are using is very thin. So after with the left fish line, you go through this bead, you go through the next bead, then you pull it out. And then with the left fish line, you fix 3 big beads and then 2 small beads. So the small beads will be in the middle of the big beads. Then you cross with the last big bead. This time you cross with the last big bead, which is the 3rd big bead. This is what you get. Then you go through the next bead with the right fish line. So you skip the small bead and go through the big bead rather. So you skip the small bead and go through the big bead. So through the big bead, then you pull it out. So that's what you should get. Then on the left fish line, you fix 2 big beads and 1 small bead. So the small bead is going to be in the middle of the 2 big beads. Then you cross with the last big bead. So we always cross with the big beads, leaving the small beads in between them. So after, you skip the small bead again and go through the next big bead. So through the next big bead, then you pull it out. So this is what you should be getting if you're on the right track. Then you go on with the same method, fixing two beads, two big beads, and then the small bead in the middle, one small bead in the middle. Then you cross with a big bead, and then you skip the small bead and go through the next big bead using the right fish line. So you are going on with the same method till you get to the other end. So when you get to the last end on this fish line, you fix two big beads and one small bead, which the small bead is going to be in the middle of both big beads. Then you tie. So please remember, anytime you get to the end side, you are going to tie. We tie them to make it tight. So you tie it about 3 or 4 times. Then after you are done tying, you go through the next bead. So with the other fish line or with any side of the fish line, you go through the next bead. Then you pull it out very well so you can hide the knot. Then you go on and fix 3 big beads and 2 small beads, which the small bead is going to be in the middle of the big bead. Then you cross with the big bead, which is the last big bead. So let me say the third big bead is what you cross with. Then you start the third line. Then you skip the small bead and go through the big bead. Then you still weave till you get to the end. So as I said, anytime you get to the last end, remember we don't go through the bead but we tie. So anytime you get to the end, you are going to tie both fish line to make the work firm. Then you go through the next bead. Then you continue weaving from there. So you are going to weave with the same method. So after you are done with the 4th step, you are going to continue weaving till you get about 21 steps. So we need 21 steps now. So you are going to continue weaving end to end with the same method until you get 21 steps. So we are done with the 21 steps, but I think the length of the bag is a little bit smaller for me, so I'm going to add 2 more steps to it, which is the 8th part. The side we did 8, that is why I'm going to add 2 more to. So we get 10 on that side. Well, this size is okay for me now. So with the height we have 21, and with the length or breadth we have 10 now. So this size is okay. We are going to fold so we can join the sides so we get the bag. So with the new fish line, with the same size of fish line, which is the 3.5, you go through this bead, skip the small bead and go through the next bead as well. Skip the small bead again and go through the next bead as well. So you go through the 3 big beads from the bottom. Then you pull the fish line out and make sure you have equal length, and this is what you should get after you've gone through the 3 beads. So after you pick one big bead and cross with both fish line. So you pick only one big bead and cross with both fish line. Then with the left fish line you go through the next big bead, and with the right fish line you go through the next big bead as well. Then you cross with one big bead. So you cross both fish line with one big bead. Then with the right fish line you go through the next bead, and with the left fish line you go through the other bead. Then you cross with one big bead. So you always keep the small beads and go through the big beads on both sides, then you cross with one big bead. So you are going to weave till you get to the end of this side. When you get to the last end, you go through the next bead with any side of the fish line. So I'm using the right fish line. You go through the next bead, the next big bead. So that's what you should get. Then you fix one bead on the left fish line. So the side you went through the bead with, you fix one bead there, and with the same fish line you go through this bead. You go through the next bead on the other side of the fish line. Please watch carefully the bead I'm going through. So you go through with that same fish line, then you tie. So you tie it with both fish line to secure your work. So you tie it about 3 or 4 times, and then this is what you should get. So we are done with one side. Then you make sure you pass your fish line through the whole thing. So you pass your fish line through so the fish line is done. Then you repeat the same method on the other side as well. So you join the other side as well with the same method. So we have it done. So after joining each side, this is what you should get. This is exactly what you should get. So we're about to make the handle to make the bag complete. So with the new fish line, 1, 2, 3, we go through the 3rd bead, the 3rd big bead. Then you pull the fish line out. Then you pick 3 big beads, 2 small beads. Then you fix one big bead on each fish line. Then you fix the small beads, 1 small bead on each fish line as well. Then you cross with the last big bead. So let me say with the handle is the same method as we started with. So that's the same thing we are doing now. So you pull it out. Please make sure you have equal length of the fish line. So this is what you should get. Then you go on by fixing one big bead on each fish line, then one small bead on each fish line as well. Then you cross with the last big bead. So with the same method as we started with. So you are going to weave until we get the length we want. So you weave until you can join the handle to the other side of the bag. So I think this length is okay by me or for me. So if you are not okay, you can still add more to it. And then let me say I have about 11 or 12 steps. So with the same step 1, 2, 3, you go through the third bead and then you tie. So remember, I said anytime you get to the end, you tie the fish line. So you tie it about 3 or 4 times to make the handle firm. Then after you are done tying, you pass the fish line through the handle. So you please make sure you pass the fish line through the handle very well to make it firm. And with the same length, with the same size, with the same method, you are going to repeat the same thing on the other side of the bag. So we are done with the handle, and as you can see, I've passed my fish line through it very well. So at the end of the bag, this is what you should get, and it's such a beautiful and easy to make beaded handbag. Please give this video a thumbs up. Please like and share as well. Follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so you'll be notified anytime I upload a video. Thank you. See you in my next video. Have a nice day and bye.